Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining. This is another session of master classes that we have. And today we have a special guest, Mac Phillips, joining us. And I'm impressed by the way Mac is working on from a creative angle to target the market and the buyers, sellers, and investors. I'm going to share my screen with Mac and ask him to elaborate a little bit of where he's coming from, what he's doing, how long he's been in business, a little bit about his success. And Mike, do you want me to share the screen with you?
Yeah, give me the access to share, and I'll go ahead and share the slides that I have, and we can start as soon as we're ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Okay, I'm just going to put this in presenter mode and see if that is easy to see. Okay, perfect. That worked exceptional. Okay, beautiful. Well, thank you firstly, Ashton, for the opportunity to be here today to connect, with industry professionals and present you a little bit about what I've been doing, some things that I've been working on, and give you a clear understanding as to where we can add value to the families that we're looking to support. Whether they're new leads or even past clients, is a great way to be able to add value to their lives in a real purposeful way and create opportunities for ourselves as business owners to also thrive. So this masterclass is really entitled around ways to reignite and most importantly, convert existing families, clients into creating opportunities for investments, okay? I myself am with Dominion Lending Centers, so I've got, the overarching brokerage logo, as well as I have branded my own mortgage business within Dominion Lending Centers, and I operate under Phillips Mortgage, okay? I'm just going to tell everybody a little bit about me and some of my background. So the brokerage that I work with here in Mississauga is Dominion Lending Centers Expert Financial. We're an award-winning brokerage. It's been around for about 10 years, and we have won many mortgage awards in the industry from coast to coast. To give you a bit of understanding as to where I'm coming from as far as credence and success that I've had even in a down and tough market. Out of 80 agents in the brokerage that I'm a part of, I was the top agent this year in 2 occasions, June as well as August. Just to give you an understanding of a bit of the volume that I'm providing, I have the ability to land Canada-wide, and I think we've begun to notice that a lot of investors don't see the cash flow as locally as they once did. People are thinking more broadly. So I have the ability to assist with referrals through the United States, but more locally within our own country, I have the ability to lend coast to coast. Been doing a lot of business in Alberta, Calgary, as well as Edmonton, as well as far west as British Columbia. To date, I've assisted 781 families as of closings this month. And on average, I do around $30 million of mortgage volume annually, which ends up being 60-ish mortgages. One of the unique things about mortgage industry is that we do need to have a high volume to be able to create an opportunity. And I'm doing about 60 transactions a year. And just where I have the most fun, honestly, is these kinds of conversations. Connecting, giving back to the community, having the opportunity to connect and add value to realtor partners through training and development, which we're going to talk about today, as well as strategy and marketing. And that's the biggest thing in our industry is, how do we stay at the forefront of what's happening? How do we add value, real value to the families that we're looking to serve? And this is a great opportunity for me to establish relationships as well as hopefully take some folks out of this conversation where they feel invigorated to add value to the families that they also serve and have relationships with. Okay. So why are we here? We're here because we want to be able to create more opportunity for our own families. And create business opportunities. And there's a slogan or a saying that I heard once upon a time, and it stuck with me. And this is some of the things that I'm going to be passing on to everyone on the call today is that any problem in your business has already been solved by someone else. All you have to do is find the information, whether it's through these kinds of seminars or whether it's written down in a textbook. Every problem that you're facing in your business or believed to be facing in your business has already been solved by someone. You just need to be able to bridge the gap on the information. Okay. So what we want to do is set some expectations that this call and this meeting is all around reconnecting with our database. And where we want to start is, if anyone wants to raise their hand or even unmute themselves and connect, who here is calling their database? And often when I speak to folks about database calling, often many hands go up. Yes, I'm calling. I always stay in touch every 3 months. But what we want to do is to be able to give you the tools to reach out with purpose, to reach out with an opportunity to not only create value for the family, but also to create real estate transactions. And that's ultimately why we're calling. So if anyone here is not reconnecting with their database, this will give you the tools to feel confident to pick up the phone. And if anyone who is already calling your database, this is an additional layer, additional level of opportunity to add additional value on those calls, to really cement yourself as someone that's important to them, not just when buying and selling real estate, but a part of their family life goals. And that's where we're really going to be able to pivot away from just being a realtor in their eyes, but to being an expert and someone who is invested in their success. Vastly different switch, but easy to do. So what we want to do right now is just ascertain, why are you calling? Anyone right now that's making those database calls, you're on the phone, you're doing your prospecting 9 to 12, and if you're not, that's the time you should be. Often it's, hey, I'm calling to check in. I want to see how they are. I'm calling to touch base and make sure that they remember me. Or I just want to stay top of mind. We find that, emails and telephone calls and text messages, make sure they don't forget about you. And don't forget, there are 70,000 realtors in the GTA, all looking to compete and add value for those same families. And while that is certainly important, we find that you end up in small talk, where it's about, how are you doing? How's work? How's Miffy, the dog? Do you have any questions that I can do to assist you? And that's all well and good because we want to make sure that we build those relationships. But how are we converting those conversations into value for you and actually create a real estate conversation? And that's the goal ultimately. So just reflect for yourselves, anyone who's on this call. How's that working for you? How often do you convert and are able to take a conversation that was about how are you doing and how's the dog, how's the house, into an actual opportunity to add value, real value for that family and create an additional transaction? Because that's ultimately the goal. Yes, we want to stay in touch, but the vision is to be able to do more business with that family. Okay, so just reflect for yourself, how is that working right now? Out of the 2 or 3 hours that you're spending on the phone, how often do you put it down and there's a new opportunity to then work with or work through? Okay. Ultimately, as I mentioned, we're calling for business. And what we want to do is we want to steer the conversation into a real estate conversation. And that's where the dollars are made, and that's where the value for the family is being created, because ultimately you are real estate professionals. Okay? So how do we create the need for more real estate? Because often we find families buy and sell maybe every 5 to 10 years. And especially now in the current market, could be even less. How do we pick up the phone, add value, have a real estate conversation without coming across salesy and without being repetitive and without calling that family that you just sold a home to, a year ago, do you want to buy or sell? Well, often the answer is going to be no. I just moved in. I'm happy in this home. Rates are too high, whatever the objection might be. But you certainly don't want to come across salesy. You don't want to pick up the phone with an intent to say, are you looking to buy and sell every time? Because that's going to get old. And then immediately with yourself, you're going to begin to talk yourself out of it. I just called Bob last month or 2 months ago. He said he didn't want to, buy or sell then. I don't want to come across salesy. Okay, so what I'm going to teach you here is how to pick up the phone with an intent that's not going to come across salesy by any means and give you an opportunity to actually generate more transactions. Okay, the way you do that, firstly, is you need to be thinking like a problem solver. And I know it sounds easy in its first presentation, and it absolutely is after you listen to this presentation. What we're looking to be is problem solvers. Yes, we sell real estate, but what we're looking to do is solve the problem for that family. They need somewhere to live. But it gets a lot more deep than that. Once you've sold them the first home, how do you continue to solve further problems that the family is having? Okay, and that's what this conversation is going to be about. So once you're able to understand what the problem is that you're solving, this is where the real magic happens, where you're able to have a deeper conversation with that family and actually add additional value not only to them, but their next generation. And this is where we're going to be able to really speak professionally about what the options are and the problems that the family is having. Okay. So what we've noticed, and in collaboration through mortgage brokers who assist families coast to coast, speaking with realtors who look to add value to their families, all clients have a problem that we have the ability to solve. And it really comes down to mindset, honestly. We need to be thinking that way. We need to be thinking that we are unique and that, yes, there are 70,000 other realtors that are all competing for that same opportunity, but you have the ability to solve problems that the family has. Perhaps they haven't even established it for themselves yet. But often we find that each family that you've connected with, the ones that already know, like, and trust you because you've done business with them, they have the same three problems. Okay? The same three problems. So we're going to give you an understanding as to what those problems are, how to uncover them, how to attack them, how to solve them, and how to create more value for your family ultimately through more real estate transactions. Okay? So problem one. Problem one is you've sold a family a home. You understand what mortgage they took, and if you're not asking what mortgage they took, this could be a great way for you to get more invested in the solution. Often I find the clients bring their own mortgage professional or they're working with the bank. And as real estate agents, we could be probably doing more to ask questions about what solution they took. Why is that important? Because as we all know, clients buy, sell, invest, and need assistance close to renewal. So if we're not asking how long of a term they took, what term they took, what product they're working with, what bank they're with, we're leaving money on the table because that gives you a reason to pick up the phone, learn more about the family, and actually add value at the right time. And as we know, timing is key. So in this scenario, problem one is the family has a mortgage, naturally, anywhere between 25 and 30 years. And you would be able to, once you begin asking these questions, you'll be able to know where each family is on their trajectory of becoming debt-free. Especially if you've sold them the home, chances are the family has 25 to 30 years left on their mortgage. That's a problem. That's a problem that you can solve because ultimately that mortgage is debt. How do we help this family get out of debt? And the solution is real estate. Okay, that's problem one that we can begin to connect on. How do we ascertain whether or not the client perceives it as a problem? Or more importantly, do we create some additional processing for the family to consider that maybe they didn't look at it as a problem, but you have a solution proactively to address what's happening in that family's life? So firstly, these are some of the questions, and I'm sure that you could think of additional questions that you could begin asking the families when you're checking in on that 3-month call, that 1-year call, even the 5-year call, is we can be starting to say, how would paying off your mortgage in 10 years impact your life? Even for yourself as a homeowner, thinking you have a 20-year mortgage left. Holy smokes, I'm going to be old and gray by the time it's paid off. How much of an impact would it have on your life if your mortgage was paid off in 10 years? How would your life change if you were mortgage free? Now you're getting people to start thinking, holy smokes, what would I do with that money? What would I do with the additional time? Would I retire early? Would I work less? Would I save more? Could I help little Johnny who's looking to buy his or her first home? These are some of the ways that you can uncover how it would impact the family emotionally. And these are open-ended questions. These are not, would you like to pay your house off? Of course, the answer is going to be yes. But what we want to do is we want to invoke an emotional response. We actually want to ask the question, and most importantly, ask the question and stop talking. Allow the room or the phone call to be silent and give them a moment to ponder how the impact of being mortgage free would have, and get them to give you an emotional response of something that they would do, how they would spend, and what it would actually do to impact not only their lives, but the lives of the people who look to them for support. Okay? That's the first problem. That's the first line of questioning. The second problem is you more than likely know where the families are in their trajectory towards retirement, simply based on our age. We live in a country where the average person looks to retire between 60 and 65. I saw something online, and this is kind of an off topic that came to mind. In China, the retirement age is lower than us. I think women retire at 52, men retire at 58 to 60, and that's actually was just extended. So it's a North American problem, if you will, that we retire much later. Okay. So what we want to be doing is, as you're building relationships and you have comments and data on this family based on bald spots or based on gray hair, you could pretty much well guess, hey, you know what? This person is becoming close to retirement age. Problem. They're not ready for retirement. That's a big deal. I think a lot of people now, especially with the high cost of everything, inflation, I know a block of butter at the store now is $8.50. People's retirement savings are beginning to dwindle. Big problem. Families are not ready for retirement. What is the solution? Again, real estate. Okay. What are some of the things that we could begin asking and taking the conversation into, Bob, what age do you want to retire? How long is that from now for you? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? When would you like to retire? At what age? And then more importantly, do you have the savings needed right now to support yourself in retirement? Think for yourself right now. If you retired today, are you ready to spend another 30, 35 years on the money that you've got in the bank? The average family feels exactly how you feel. We feel inadequate. We feel as though we need to work longer. And the anxiety raises when we start thinking about, holy smokes, do I have enough to be able to survive and live the life that I want to have while I'm in my old and golden years? Can I travel? Can I maintain my mortgage? Can I still help those who depend on me? Do you have enough savings needed to support yourself in retirement? Massive problem for the average person. And these are the kind of questions that you can use to be able to take your relationship with that family deeper. Okay. Problem number 3, child's education fund. So I'll let you in on a secret. The RESP program was created in the 90s. Okay. It worked for the 90s, 30 years ago. It is massively inadequate. So if you've met a family where they have small children, maybe between 1 and 3, more than likely they're already starting to think, holy smokes, in 15 years, we're in 2024, so what is that, 2039? It's incredible to think. We're talking like almost 2040 that children are going to be going to university, the ones in the families that you're helping. Are they going to be ready for the education? What you will find when you do your own research, and I can point you towards websites that actually model the RESP, how much it would give you versus what actual education costs, and I'll shock you for a moment if you're not aware. Best case scenario, based on the deposits that are recommended to put into the RESP and the maximum contribution plus the bonus from the government, you're going to have $75,000 in 15 years. Okay. The websites that model that appreciation versus what education costs is that in 15 years from now, to send one child to university, room and board, and actually feed them while they're in university is $140,000 for a basic degree. And that isn't even if you want to have that family that or that child go on to a career that's going to make them big money. We're not talking engineer, doctor, lawyer here. We're just talking getting a four-year degree is $140,000. So is the family prepared for that? If they're putting all of their eggs in the RESP basket, we know that they are absolutely going to be inadequate. So problem, child fund education. And I'm sure you know the families who have small kids right now or are pregnant. How do we solve that? What's the solution? Again, real estate, okay? So what we want to do in this scenario is uncover whether or not the family have considered, understand, and are becoming more prepared for their child's education in 2040. I have a son, he's 2 months old. We've begun to have those conversations around what do we do, how do we prepare, okay? So these questions that you can be asking. How do you feel about your child's education fund? How would your life be impacted if you didn't need to save for your child's university? Just think all the different ways that you could spend or invest $40,000 to $50,000 over the next 15 years and have it not go towards future education. And it could go towards different things, traveling, living life, working less. Just think about that one. Imagine you didn't have to work as hard to get to the same goal. I think a lot of people would love to be able to work less and do less and spend more time with friends and family. Okay? The clients feel the exact same way. So what we want to do is let them know that history has shown, and you could speak from actual data that you could pull up on Treb right now in 10 seconds, is that history has shown that in the real estate market in the GTA, I can't speak to, sub-markets, but in the GTA, homes double every 10 years. I wish I could go back 10 years and buy more property knowing today or where they would be. Okay? So we want to advise families that that is the trend. No, nobody has a crystal ball, but history often repeats itself and gives us an understanding of what to expect moving forward. That real estate will continue to double every 10 years, especially as rates come down, because they're about to go down to historic lows once again. 3 easy steps, guys. First thing you do is you let the family know we have the ability to help you through that. What the goal is, and you don't have to tell them this right off the bat, but the way that you would position it is, first thing is we need to get these families investing in real estate. Investing for the hold, buy and hold long-term investing. We need to get them to buy investment properties. That's where the secret is. That's where the property opportunity is first step, get them to buy a rental. Second step is hold said rental for 10 years. What we know is that rental is going to double in its value in those 10 years. And then step 3 is they sell it or they refinance it, which we'll talk about. But step 3 is sell it. And I know immediately you're thinking, oh, capital gains. Our job is to not provide tax advice. Our job is to utilize the people who are in our circle, professionals that are in the field, to make recommendations that they seek the information from those professionals. Those kinds of objections we shouldn't be fielding. We should be fielding the questions that pertain to real estate and let the professionals who are investments and in insurance and in tax to field those questions regarding capital gains. Okay. And then the third step is they sell it. Okay. And then don't forget, if the government changes now, that 65% could be repealed. Okay. Problem 1 is solved through using the equity in that rental once they sell it to pay off their principal residence. Unless the families use their home like a piggy bank, if they're not refinancing considerably, the average mortgage today sitting on a home, 40% of Canadians are mortgage free on their principal residence, which is a slam dunk for those 40%. The other 60% have a mortgage between $500,000 and $600,000. Think of where that $500,000 mortgage would be in 10 years. Maybe it's around $400,000. They sell that rental, which we know will have the equity in it because it's doubled, and then they pay off their principal residence. Problem 1 solved. That's how they're able to be mortgage free in 10 years. We use the equity from the rental, we sell the rental, we pay off the principal mortgage, rather than it being a 20, 25, or 30-year mortgage, it's now paid off in 10 years by using the equity appreciation in that rental. Clients are not having these conversations. They're not aware of the power of real estate. A lot of fear, misunderstanding, and miseducation keeps them doing things that are in their own disinterest. I think all of you could speak to and use examples of investors that you know who have been massively successful through buying and holding real estate. And as business owners for yourself, business owners that you're connecting and building relationships with, we don't have a pension at the end of the day. Our pension is real estate. And that's number one way to be able to make a family debt-free, mortgage-free in 10 years is what we've just described. Buy a rental, hold it, sell it. The problem number two, retirement savings. Just so happens it's the exact same roadmap. Buy, hold, sell. Just think for yourself how much better you would be off in retirement if you bought a rental today in a good appreciating market, held it for 10 years, and then sold it. How much more would you be able to put in your retirement fund? Problem two solved with the exact same solution. Problem three, child's education fund. And I'll talk a little bit more about some of the ins and outs of this and what the real value is when we're thinking about the next of kin and our children. It's the exact same thing. Child's education fund, we know, is $140,000 minimum. They want to be a doctor, it's $250,000. I know I would love for my son to become a doctor. Where are we getting $250,000 from? It's either you save it or you let the market do it for you. There's really only two options, whether it's the investment market or the real estate market, or you save it yourself. There's really, it's a binary decision. You use the equity for the education cost. Okay, problem three solved through real estate. And I think you're realtors, so that we can use that as an opportunity to provide value to that problem. I'm going to do a bit of a deep dive here on the RESP because often this one is people where they often can't avoid the fact that, yes, you know, maybe we didn't go to college, maybe we're business owners and we went straight into a career that was self-employed. But when we think of our children, we think, hey, of course they're going to go and they're going to go to school. Whether they become business owners eventually is besides the point. We want them to get education. So the one we're really going to be able to speak with accuracy, tug on the emotional chords of the average family is through understanding the RESP, the inadequacies, as well as the way to circumvent that and add real value for this family. So we're going to do a deep dive. We've got our snorkel guy here. He's doing a deep dive into the RESP side-by-side comparison. Some of this information may be new to you if you don't have an RESP or weren't educated on. But the first thing is, if your child does not go to college, that additional interest earned, those additional 20% top-ups from the government aren't able to be used. So if they don't go to college, they can't use the RESP, and all of that investment is for naught. You would have invested $45,000, give or take, over the 15-year period, and imagine after investing that much amount of money, there were no gains, and it could not be used towards college. The pro is, if they buy real estate and they hold that asset for 15 years, they can refinance out the cost, and that money can be used for anything. Whether they want to start a business, they need a car, they want to use it for another down payment, they want to refinance it out and give you back your 20% that you paid to be able to buy the investment property 15 years ago for them. That home, that real estate can be used for anything. No conditions on how the money is used. Okay, that's the first one. Second one, when your child withdraws that money from their RESP, it's actually going on their personal tax return. Okay, that's not good. Why is that not good? I think often people think, oh, well, they're going to be in school. It's going to be like, well, what if just so happens that they have to work or they're studious. They get a job and they want to work through school, so they have an understanding of some extra pocket cash. And they're already earning $30,000 a year. And then you pull out $70K. What's that going to do to their tax bill? It's going to be massive. The CRA is going to be just waiting for tax season to pop around. And a lot of that additional appreciation and value that you wanted to go to your kid is going to go to the government. Not good. The withdrawal is taxed versus refinancing out the education cost, refinancing that rental property, whatever it's condo or freehold, that money is tax-free. Okay? The third one is that it's simply not enough. We ascertained in the prior slide and conversation around the apples comparison, that's $75,000 what the RESP is going to have versus the 140 that's actually needed.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
I'm calling in regards to your lease that's coming up. Actually, it's past due.
There we go. Perfect. Somebody's making some calls. I love it. Between 9 and 12, they're hitting the phones. So it's simply not enough. The RESP is inadequate. It was created in the 90s when education was 70,000. Fantastic. We know it isn't anymore. Now you have the opportunity to refinance out through a line of credit, through a second mortgage, a first mortgage, whatever it is. You have the ability to refinance out those education costs for your child. Okay. The fourth one, and is a big one. You're taking an asset that had been building over the last 15 years and you're depleting it to zero. No more asset, no more investment account, no more additional appreciation and growth. That 70K that you had is now gone. It's spent on education, on room and board, on food, on a car so they can get to and from campus, whatever it is. That asset that you've been building over the last 15 years is gone. Versus that asset remains. You've got a property there. It's still appreciating. It can be used in many different facets. Do they want to rent it now? Do they want to live in it themselves? Do they sell it? Do they manage it as an investment portfolio? So many different opportunities that they can use to be able to keep that asset and have it still in your family. And I think more importantly, thinking of, holy smokes, where is real estate values going to be in 15 years? Can that child, even after a university degree, afford an investment property or a home? Many families are still, even after getting amazing education, are not going to be able to afford real estate. That's the unfortunate truth of where the market is headed. Think of 2040 right now for yourselves without having to really understand exactly where it is going to be. Where is real estate in Toronto, for example, going to be in 2040? Holy smokes, it's going to be a wild ride for the next generation. Okay? And the last one, which is, I think the biggest one, is the government gives you a top-up. They encourage you to put your money into your RESP, and they actually add to it by as much as 20%. So if you put in $2,500, they give you an additional $500 a year, tax-free, that goes in to grow the portfolio. If you do not, or your child does not go to college, and why wouldn't they go to college? Well, they may not go to college because they may want to be a business owner and follow in your own footsteps, firstly. Secondly, a lot of big tech companies, let's say Google, Microsoft, Apple, you may not be aware, but they have an internal education system because they've already ascertained that the colleges today do not educate for what they actually need their employees to have and to know. So Google has a university within itself. If your child decides to go right into a workforce or to go to Google University within their job there, that is not a registered college. They will not be able to use the money, and all of that 20% will be clawed back. So now you actually owe the government back money. Not ideal. Versus having the ability to have that property continue to generate income, to generate net worth and value, not only for your family, but your kids and your kids' kids, and utilize that property as an opportunity to generate generational wealth. Big, big deal. So while you're having these conversations, what we were thinking to do, and there's no bad conversation, no matter what direction the family goes into, when you jump on the phone and when you're having these database calls and you're reconnecting with your database, it needs to be looked at as, at this point, I'm sorting. This is all I'm doing. I'm putting some families in this bucket, and I'm putting other families in a different bucket. There is no way that the conversation can go poorly. Okay? At this point, we're simply sorting into different buckets, and I'll explain the buckets and how they work. So the first answer that the vast majority of people are going to say is, hey, Ashton, that's something that I've never thought about before. Thank you for calling me today and having this conversation with me. You know what? Send me some more information. I would love to get some more information on what you just described. RESP, I had no idea all these things. Send me some things that I can read and look at. Often what you'll find, and maybe what you have found when you send out emails or when you receive emails, is it goes into the black hole of inbox. And think of your own database marketing emails that you can track through what is it called? MailChimp. What is your open percentage right now? Just think for yourself. How often do your emails actually get opened and read? That percentage is consistent across the board, that when you send that email out, there's that same percentage that it never gets opened, it doesn't get absorbed. But regardless, when they say send this email to me, that's a win. Okay, and I'll show you how to turn that into a win. The second answer that you may get is, you know what, that is amazing. I see real value in my family for that. Let's set up an appointment, and you would recommend that we set up another appointment, because remember, we're in database call time. We're not spending an hour on the phone. We're adding value. We're going to the next family. We're setting what's called a real estate action plan meeting, where we're going to have a conversation in depth about that family's goals, their current portfolio, their ability to qualify. You get them in touch with me. We do a pre-approval, and now we actually know what their opportunities are. So that's a massive win. That means the family loved it. We're ready to move forward. But the vast majority of people are going to fall into the left-hand side of the bucket, and they're going to say, send me more information. I'll show you how that's also a win. So what you do when they say, hey, send me more information, this is your response. Hey, you know what? Every 4 to 6 weeks, we have an online seminar to cover this exact topic. Now that I know you're interested in learning more about X, Y, and Z, I'll put you on the list and I'll make sure that you get an invitation. What have you done there? You've now been able to create a list of attendees for your next educational event. And now you've got to put one on. That's a great way to add value and to stay top of mind with a purpose. So now you've got a list of people, maybe 10, 15, 20 people, it doesn't matter how many there are, who've expressed interest in that topic. Did you have to buy Facebook ads to do it? Did you have to buy Google ads to do it? Did you have to cold call strangers and say, oh, please come to my event? Did you have to send out an email hoping that it gets open and hoping somebody registers and then potentially not show up? No. You've built a list of people who have expressed interest, you put on an event, and you educate the people on how this system works and what the numbers are. And I can walk you through, once we connect at a later time, exactly how to set that up, do that, what the information is, and make sure that you're successful in that educational event. If anyone here is listening and you've never done an online seminar, the most successful people in your space, this is what they do. The most successful realtors put on educational events, whether in person or online. And we're going to start online. In-person events can be a little scary, daunting, very hard to set up. You need to get people to get in their car, park, find parking, get in an elevator. None of that is required. We're going to do an online seminar to start. Okay? So what do you need to be able to do this? What do you need to be able to actually move forward and make this a successful component to your business? You need telephone scripting. What do I say? How do I guide the conversation? Secondly, you need marketing materials. We're going to now create a drip campaign to be able to make sure that they're aware of little snippets of information. Ask additional questions. Make sure that this information stays top of mind. You need marketing materials. You need email templates to be able to send out to your database to create more conversations. Often we've got thousands of names and emails, people that maybe have forgotten our name, or online leads that we got that we never converted. Those are not the ones that we're calling. We're calling the families that we actually know, like, and trust, the ones we've done business with. We can begin to then field the other part of our database secondly, and that can be also engaged through email templates. Okay? The next thing is we need event slide decks. Holy smokes, I'm putting it on an online event. What do I say? What are my slides? How do I present the value of the RESP? How do I present the gains in the real estate portfolio? What does that online event looks like? Where do I market it? How long is it going to be? What day it is? So we need slide decks. And then the last thing that we need in order to make this successful is we need forecasting. When we pick apart the RESP, you're probably going to be hitting a bit of a sore spot for the average person who is putting all of their eggs in that basket. They understand the power of investments, but they're just investing wrong. We need to be able to present them with an actual forecasting spreadsheet that I have access to that says, this is the house today, this is the forecasted appreciation, what is it going to be in 15 years versus the appreciation in the RESP. People need to see the numbers. They don't just want to hear your voice and hear your promise. They need to see it with math. And that's where we can also assist them with that RESP versus rental forecasting. So how do we do all that? We need to connect. You need to reach out. This is my information. And let's start talking about the questions you have from this conversation today. some of the things that you think would be barriers to you wanting to pick up the phone, and add this as an arsenal to add real value to your families through solving their problems. So this is my direct phone number. This is my email address, and I put out probably 3 or 4 reels and content, different content per week on my Instagram, my Facebook, and my TikTok. That's my handle, at Mac Mortgage Broker. So, thank you again, Ashley, for the opportunity to present this with you today. I'm hoping that we can connect and add value to some families and put some more money in the pockets of the real estate brokers who are on this call. That's what I had planned for you today, folks.
Thank you very much, Mark. Just let me take this screen back. Just give me 1 second. Okay.
Maybe I should stop sharing.
Oh, perfect.
There we
Sounds
go.
good. Thank you very much, Mike, for sharing this information. What you were saying remind me what I did long time ago when my daughter was born. I went to my financial advisor. I said, here's $4,000 for my first daughter, put it to aggressive portfolio and RESP, and hopefully within 18, 20 years, I have enough money. The year after, I went to visit the same guy. I said, well, I have a bad news. Your 4,000 became 2,000. I said, oops. If that's the way it's going, my daughter, when she wants to go to university, she has nothing. So I came back to my wife. She was a real estate agent at that time. Then I became a real estate agent. I said, this won't work. There is better opportunity. I think that's investing in real estate. And that time you could even buy an investment for 5% down. So long story short, I bought her a house. I said, this is for her RESP. And that was in Kitchener. I rented. So far, so good. My second daughter, a year after, I bought her another house for her. And when they went to university, I had enough money to pay all their tuition. I sold it. Yes, I paid the tax. That's fine. And I could never even imagine RESP would even catch closer to what we gain in that property, investment property.
Yep.
So that is a lesson that I learned, and I promoted to so many people, and it worked very well. It just, people, they need a way out, and they expect you to be an expert to do that for them, and using a little bit of creative solution for them, that would help. Now, the next tools you need, here is some data on the stats. It is true that price of homes in Toronto is moving 10%, double every 10 years. Oakville, I think, doubled every 6 years for a long period of time. So we had a great market. So if you bring this one back to your clients, that would help. Now, a tool that you can use, and I always use here, remember, number works. Emotion doesn't necessarily work. If you go to your clients, you're going to have a nice home, growing price, it might not work. If you show them the stat, go to home index price that we have in TREP online, and it's all the information there. The growth after 10 years. Pick the neighborhood you want, pitch it to your client, show it to them. Say, listen, this part of Aurora move up 136% in 10 years. What would happen to the price of a house if you buy it today for $800,000? It's going to more than double in 10 years. So this is the best pitch we can give to our clients, but they are looking for a solution. Thank you very much, Mike, for bringing it up. So can agents have a conversation with you when you connect with them?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, anyone who's on the call that has questions and is looking for some support in being able to roll this out to their database, please, I welcome the opportunity to collaborate.
And also remember, anytime you come to your clients, if they bring up, oh, we have to pay 66% tax, remind them, thanks to the safety and security that we have in this country, you're lucky that the value of your property would double in 10 years. If you live in other countries, let's say Middle East, Lebanon, whatever, the price of your home even go down. So, okay, that's worth it to give a little bit back to the government. Say, thank you for creating such a great environment. You know what? 66% on capital gain, that's okay. At least I make the rest. And that's thanks to the government and safety and security that we have in this country. So that's giving a better feeling to your clients. Any question for me or for Mac?
Yeah, feel free to unmute yourselves, folks. This is what this kind of conversation is meant to do. Create a two-way conversation. Please feel free to connect.
Nothing. Okay. Feel
Okay.
free to reach out to Mac. What I like with him, he's very creative, and he's sitting and thinking of how he can help us to generate more business. And of course, he's always there to help us. So grab the phone, call him or email, and have a chat with him. Tell him a little bit about your business and how he can help with providing some of the materials. Or even you can put him on the phone with your clients, have a three-way calls or Zoom with your clients. He's there to help you guys. And thank you very much, Mike, for joining. And thank you very much, Mike, for joining us. Hopefully, I can bring you back here another time and you share with us another way to reach our clients and land on more deals.
I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch, folks. Have a fantastic day.
Yeah, bye-bye.